Hello everybody, this is Mario Ranchi, and I'm a brand strategist and founder of Manufacturer, and here again for another episode of Ambitions of an Agency. So today I'm going to go and collaborate with some other brand strategist agency, and we're just going to talk about things, about business, about design, all that stuff. And, it's just, insight about this is just every meeting counts. You don't know exactly when a meeting's going to count. You never know when a connection is going to be made that is important later on. So I try to treat every meeting that I make, whether it's with a client or if it's with just a fellow colleague or another agency, just looking for like opportunities for future collaboration, future things, maybe, exact collaboration. And there's this obsession with just, big companies, and you just want to, nail the big companies. And that's not always a good thing, because when you're starting, you can try to get the attention of a big company, right? But it's like, I feel like the best connections are made with the smallest people. And what I mean by the smallest people, I mean like not the most, huge companies by size. I feel like connections one-on-one or two-on-two or three-on-three, are more valuable than just meeting with a huge corporate agency sometimes. So yeah, that's a key insight in the field. Just treat every meeting as if it was a big one, as if it was valuable, as everything counts. Everything. Even the small ones.
Off the cuff, and he thinks just get a camera out, just start doing it. I'm like, we can't do that.
He's great.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Alright. Rolling. Forget the camera's there now.
Yeah.
I started a YouTube channel, but I don't have a big audience, so don't worry. Don't worry. If you say anything, it won't cause any problems. I don't have much publicity anyway. So.
Do you swear on your channel? Because I swear quite a bit. You should probably tell around.
I swear a lot too.
I'll try not to.
But that's the problem, right? Because if you swear, YouTube revenue, like if you want to monetize your ads, it's not as attractive to advertisers when you swear now. So.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
That's the only problem. But I haven't monetized any of my ads either, so. This is all free for you guys now. Whoever, I have 8 subscribers. That's it.
Well, I'll be 8,000 by next year, right?
8,000. I hope 8,000 by next year, right?
Yeah. Where were we? I think we were talking about LinkedIn, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's massively useful. A lot of our leads have been generated through that. And there are a lot of people that just use it just to collaborate as well. They'll ping you a message and say, might not be the time, but I think that we might be able to collaborate or work together in the future.
Yeah.
Let's just connect just in case that happens.
This is basically why I wanted to meet you anyway, because like I don't know what comes of this, right? What's the collaboration or what happens next,
Yeah.
Because I might have a huge project and I'm like, shit, I can't take this all on my own. So I might just have to do it with you. And since you're probably the ideal candidate because like fucking core. Like who knows strategy? I don't know many designers that know strategy.
No,
I know a lot of designers that make good things, and I might actually hire them one day just to do the making things. Because I haven't gone past that yet. I still have to make things because I don't have the money to hire someone to actually do the making part, which I want to do. Because I see a lot of designers and I'm like, they're better than me. But you know what? I'm their fan. I want them to do the work for me. I think that if I cast my ego aside, at least in this situation, let them do the best work for the client. It'll be so much better because for them, the client's gonna get the best work possible, right? And then me, I can take credit for just orchestrating the idea, facilitating that idea, but not really taking credit for the making part. They can have that.
Yeah.
They can have the craft. I've let go of that.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, wasn't it? About, for me, I found that my skill lies in setting up the shop for the amazing creatives, the pretty makers, and actually enabling them to do what they do best. That's actually where my talent is. I like the process that builds up before it, get everything they need, and support them in delivering that. And
Right.
and that's where my skill lies. Actually, I think, rather than I'm not the best creative out there, so.
Right.
I could find people like you said that you meet and you go, holy shit, you're really good. Like
Exactly.
like,
Yeah, people that specialize in one thing only.
Yeah.
Like I used to be just the logo guy, and I got praised for that. But at the end of the day, I wasn't really providing much value for my clients. I was just making it pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, they stood out, but like, was their company really changed? No. It's just polished a turd.
Yeah, yeah.
That's about it.
Well, they say you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter.
Oh God, who says that? That's terrible.
It's really bad, isn't it? A friend of mine said it.
I've never heard that.
Make it shiny. Give it sparkle.
There you go.
But yeah, it's So do you think you're going to focus later down the line purely just on the strategy?
Yeah, and also like here's the thing, like I'm just doing a niche now, so I can kind of ease my way into the industry. So that means like as soon as I get some influence inside the certain industry, like the manufacturing industry or the industrial sector, then I want to branch out and see where else I can take it, right? Because I feel like every industry sector is connected to another industry sector. So in a way, I found out that manufacturers connect to construction, construction's connected to architecture, all that stuff, and then architecture's maybe connected to interior design. You don't know where it takes you, it just takes you somewhere. But you just, I find niching first is a strategy I'm using now, because there's so much, that's why my previous agency failed, was because it was all over the place. We were, the brand felt a bit shallow, really. It wasn't talking about customers, so I did a user-based approach, and now it's working a bit better. Not completely, but it's working a bit better. Just have to have patience.
It gives you a sense of direction.
Exactly.
There's one thing actually where we're I suppose different in that sense, is that right now I feared although I feared the sense of focus. Of narrowing down, so my agency isn't focused in one particular area.
That's saying you're still getting work and you're still doing it, so it's like, but
my goal is to go out there.
And are you like, you're first in mind in the consumer or the person or the client because it's just you, really, it's personalized.
That's what they're buying, so it is me as the brand, and I think what we're specialising in is the strategic approach, the strategy initially. We were going to focus on tech, because a lot of our clients are digital platforms, or they're within the tech or innovation sectors, so like the energy sector, and a lot of the other people we work with as well. One was a digital platform that led into an app that would be shared and people obviously utilising to get discounts and promotion codes and things. Another one is a car platform to buy and sell cars, similar to what they have here, Auto Trader, and that's going to be launching another different. So it's all very tech, innovative, all digital. So we're going to focus in that sector, and ideally we probably do. But what we wanted to do was start abroad, find out where our most amount of work comes from, and then narrow it down.
Because that's the thing with like niching, is because it's all about decreasing choice. The client has power when they have choice. You have power when you have choice. You can go to a supermarket and be like, I want that one, I want that one. What's the difference between all these potato chips? I just want one that's what am I gonna like differentiate potato chips with? Like I'll just take one that looks good or is less, because that's also a problem too, right? Like when the price is less, that makes the decision for you sometimes as well. And then that's why it's terrible to, as a business, to only compete on price. That's a problem. Unless you want to be the Walmarts of the world, but not everyone wants to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's got to be a bigger picture than just the discounted goods or getting things cheaper. It's very much why I lost that client. That they couldn't differentiate between the three of us. It just muffled too much information overload.
And funny is like we figured out brand strategy, but it's actually been going on for a while now.
Yeah.
I didn't. It's just people who are behind us are even screwed up more than we are, man. That's crazy, right? You know, so we're already competing in a competitive market, so that's why specialization comes in.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And I think that's probably a flaw for us. I really wanted to, and I couldn't. I narrowed down to sectors and areas that I wanted to specialise in, and then I just, I think I maybe to some degree bottled it right at the very end. And then also we were getting bits and pieces of work from all over, like from random places. You couldn't go, okay, that's one sector, and we didn't want to isolate them whilst we were going through that process, so we just stayed broad for now. And then again, like I say, you know, we've only been running since last year, so hopefully within a year's time we'll have a good idea of the field, and then we can go, do you know what, there's a grouping in that direction, we're going to follow there, because we not only have skills and the ability to really add insight into that, we're going to specialise and become an expert in that sector. And I think allowing our current workload to determine that, rather than picking out of the air, I just don't think I have the bottle to do it, really, which is something. So the Women Without Pitching talks very much about the fear of you know, narrowing your choices, because we're creatives and we want to be exposed to lots of different things. It's exactly the same thing. I just didn't have the courage to actually do it.
The interesting thing about white space is that the human mind is supposed to not look at or be able to see what is not there. You know, it's supposed to just see what's in front of it, you know, and just go with what's in front of it, right? That's the perception. That's how we are supposed to process information. Just see things in front of us, and you know, and make decisions from there. But seeing what's not there can actually solve a problem, right? You know, I don't have an example on me, but like there's many things you don't notice, and you know, like maybe like you're in the bushes and there's like a snake and it's camouflaged, but if you look, probably you can see the movement of it, you know, and then you know you can get away from it rather than just looking at everything as it is and then being like, well, what can I do, you know, or you know, what's that noise? Why do I care about that noise? I feel like ADD has given me the, you know, because I have slight ADD, not that big of a problem, but you know, ADD in the matter that I can't always focus on things. I'm always wanting distractions somewhere or someplace, you know.
Yeah, I'm quite similar.
Yeah, and it makes me like, when I'm distracted, I get to see things that are not there or that are not usually focused on. Those small distractions lead to some key insights, actually. So.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? And I suppose that's probably because you're looking in areas that not other people are.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have those distractions.
I started seeing with design first. Like, here's the thing, how I transferred really quickly is that first I did with design, and design is visual, right? So it's about looking at things and just seeing. You know, that was the first thing I learned about design. Is like, how do I better myself as a designer? Well, you look. You look around and you just look. People walk by every day and they don't notice things. Just look. Just look. Maybe you won't find something there, but maybe the next day you will. You know, just look. You might find some weird connections that you never thought of. It's just right in front of you. You just need to actually pay attention and look. Right? Not look in just one direction, look in many directions. Look behind you, look in front of you, look up the sky. I mean, I'm being taught that now, but I've been doing this for so long that it's become innate. I do it now very often, you know, see negative space in things that, you know, like constructions, I don't know, like beams of pillars, you know, just anything goes in my mind. And then, so then it transfers easily into business, right? You know, finding out white spaces. Yeah. So, you know, when you know what like positioning is, right? Yeah, so basically like there's a thing called market mapping where you can map the extremes of companies, right? Like modern or traditional, and then, you know, premium, and then economy or something like that.
So like on a cross-section.
Exactly, and then you set businesses, you know, in your competitive audit that you know are in the market, and then you set them apart, and then you just look for those white spaces. Where are people not paying attention, right? And you'll probably see that, because it's usually when I do that marketing map is that I see, you know, there's a bunch of companies huddled here or a bunch of companies huddled there on either two extremes, and there's never one quite somewhere around these quadrants, or maybe around them. There's no thought of that, right? Because again, the human brain is just about looking forward, you know, what's in front of me, instead of looking at what's not there. So.
Yeah, it's good to. It's definitely good to. It's a really visual way of actually seeing where
It
the
is.
space and positioning is. We actually did it with a client. Exactly that. Not so much about their competitors, but for them. So what we drew one of them up on the board. Actually, was on the board before you came, and literally went, okay, that's here's like 4 target markets.
Right.
Where in here do you want to put your focus? And I just hovered the pen, and then so I asked the 3 directors. One says, no, back there. Okay. Would you say you're more focused on this or down here? Or so these are large enterprises. These are small enterprises. Here's your personal domestic buyers, non-domestic. So, and they were like, okay, in this area. And then between the 3 directors, there was a rough grouping, and then what that forced them to do. We had 3 X's to have a discussion around, okay, well I thought we're going for these guys. Well, no, because we were just about to do the user profiles, and when I got talking on the service, I got a sense that there was more than 2 or 3 target audiences. Turned out there was 4.
Interesting.
Yeah, but for example, they were like,
When you do target audiences, do you think of only one, or do you think of many target audiences?
there could be multiple.
There can?
For these guys, there was 4.
I always like narrowing it down to one. I don't know. I like the focus.
Oh yeah, so a main target audience. That's to have your primary, right?
I see.
So for these guys, what we said, they're in the launch phase. So let's have a look at who are the guys you want to go after now? Who it's realistic for? So we created that map. They had that whole discussion, which actually turned into an argument, turned into a debate. No, we should be going after the large organisations. No, we should be going after the small. But the small guys only bring X amount, and that brings that. And I just stood there in silence. Stood right there in silence, let them have this whole debate.
Do you see that? That's what happens when you facilitate.
But
things come out like that.
And then when it got to a point where they were actually debating, I just paused it. Guys, can I stop you for a second? Just hold it, right? and I just addressed, right now, you're probably sensing that there is tension between all 3 of you, and that we're at this point, and this might feel like a negative part of the session.
Right.
Let me just, before we continue, let me just highlight to you guys that this is what's supposed to happen. What we've just identified is you guys aren't aligned on who your target audience is. Now what you're doing right now, this discussion might seem like a negative portal. We've hit a wall. Trust me, we haven't. This is a really good thing that we've ironed out and identified right now. You guys should carry on having this discussion and really decide between you where you want to place your focus and your energy on who your target audience is now. Not in 5 years' time, because that might change. You might go for small customers right now and go for the larger organisations after. So let's identify that now so that you know the roadmap going forward. And we did. They narrowed it down to 2. That's our primary, but these can't exist without them. So we need to be somewhere in the middle between those 2. And then in 2 to 3 years' time, we then go for that might move, and that might go more in the middle, and we'll equally, or we might even go for larger organisations. So we identified 4. We narrowed it down to 2, and then we selected initially what the primary was going to be. So it was interesting to do, interesting to see. Awkward as hell when you've got 3 directors rowing in your office, but really cool because
you bring it out of them. That's
I just sat there and smiling, just literally going.
They think it's such a negative thing, and you're like, it's you guys are doing the exact thing that I want.
Yeah, I was excited for them. I was like, guys,
because you have a lot of directors. They're just like they'll be like. They'll be subtle about it, and that's annoying because I want everything to surface.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, I don't really like that. It's like, wait, why don't you like that? Elaborate more.
Yeah.
Don't keep it, surface level. Let's go deeper. Right. Yeah.
Identify why. Dig right deep, there are risks in that as well, because they can feel challenged.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And become defensive, and when you get onto that, it's hard to get off.
Because it's hard to hit a person when they're vulnerable, right?
Yeah. And especially if you're challenging their reasons, it's kind of like, who are you to challenge me, and they'll fight you on it. And then it becomes defensive, and you have to know when you hit that wall to go, I now need to take a step back, regroup, get everyone back into open-minded mode and kick off again, and it's tough. It's tough because so I had one of the guys in that exact same session, more or less going, "Is this the target we're focusing now, or later down the line, or is it?" And he just got really confused on what the exercise was for. And I was just like, I'd already explained it like 2 or 3 times, and I thought I'd been clear. Maybe they didn't grasp it. Maybe it's because we were using Skype and technology to, to actually communicate, and he just, he might not have been able to hear me too well. There could have been lots of reasons, but I had to then stop, explain to make sure he was on the right page, as everybody was on the same page, and then we could carry on. But he got really upset because he didn't what is this for? What's the point? He didn't get the point. Is this the user profiles? We're coming up with make believe names, and we're going, this guy does this, because they had a debate where they cracked a joke and said, what I said, what's your target audience? What does their life look like? What do they do at work? Well, they sit around, they're lazy and eat burgers most of the day. And I turned around and said, let's write it down. And I wrote it down. They're bloody lazy. They eat burgers, and they then argued, well, no, they don't. I mean, the smaller guys maybe, but not the larger organisations. Larger organisations are proactive, and that's kind of when this debate kicked off. And what I did, and then he got frustrated and was like, why are we even doing this? Like, what does this prove?
Right.
And I had to go, oh, he didn't grasp it from the beginning, so stop, go back through what the exercise is for. So give him a really good example. So guys, let's say, for example, you turn around and said, you give me a massive insight there. These guys are lazy. So, we make them jump through hoops, they're not going to jump through the hoops. We've got to make the process as simple as possible. They eat burgers. What I want to know is where do they get them from? Because let's see if we can market through those channels to those people. If they're, for example, eating at your regular McDonald's or your Burger King, then why can't we promote a billboard near the local?
Problem equals the solution.
Exactly. Once I kind of addressed so those 2 insights that you've just given me that you thought was stupid that we wrote down on the board gives a massive insight and opens up a world of opportunity. And they were like, oh, I get it now. That's what it's for.
Yeah, that's how you buy them in, yeah.
Yeah. So once they kind of were back on the page, then they were really re-engaged in it. But there was a really defensive struggle at some point. It's like, what is this for? I just don't get it.
That's one of the rules I have on my strategy slides. Is just like, leave all your skepticism and cynicalism to the end.
Yeah.
That's all I ask you. You can tell it's stupid afterwards, but just while you're here now, accept it. Right?
Yeah, be really open-minded to it. It's a really good point. And I think that's something I addressed at the beginning. So,
it's just interesting because you didn't do it and you still got something out of it.
Yeah,
that's I find interesting.
I think the guys were. This is the amazing thing. The guys were really willing to get involved. They worked hard. They took it really seriously as well. So on the brand attributes, they were coming up with stuff, and they really stopped to think about it and go, well, hang on a minute. Is trust more important than that, or does that say the same thing as that? And should we be, focusing? And I was like, I just let this happen because these guys were engaged on their own drive. They understood. They didn't know what they were coming for when they arrived. They didn't know what they were in for, and it was a long session. We were running late to start, so we started at about 7 o'clock in the evening. Once we got everything set up, we were still here at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Dedication.
And they were that dedicated that they were still. Bear in mind that they're in different time zones. So for one of them, it was something like 5 o'clock in the morning over there. He'd been up all day and all night. He'd been to work that day as well.
That's a testament of how important that thing is. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So.
You want to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, and they're the clients you want to work with. Clients that are prepared to dedicate time, effort, and energy into something that they might not be sure about. To think, there could be value in it, but they're willing and open-minded.